My own institution, CODEMA, is Dublin's energy agency, and we are celebrating now our 20 years since our foundation in 1997. And we've come a long way in those 20 years. We had to develop a business model that would sustain it in the long term when the European funding ran out after 3 years. And so we looked at different ways of doing that. And our decision was to work very, very closely with the city authorities. They are the main people of importance in implementing changes at this level. And they wouldn't traditionally be experts in energy or climate change, and we were able to bring expertise to them. It's actually, in the Atlantic Ocean, and we have a huge wind resource in Ireland. And so Ireland is among the leading countries in the world in terms of the percentage of renewable wind energy on the electrical system. But that is managed by the grid company, and they've got to get the maximum amount of wind on the system without crashing it, essentially. We live in an urban area in which there's not the same opportunities for wind in the city, around the city areas. So we have to look at other ways. And one of the obvious ways, which is becoming popular across Europe, is to look at solar energy. Also looking at energy from waste, energy from treatment of water, methane gas given off, we can reuse that. So there are city issues as well as country issues. So in Dublin, I guess we import a lot of our energy from outside Dublin, whether it's generated in conventional stations or from wind energy. So renewable energy traditionally in the city area has been less important. Now it's one of our priorities to change that. So we've done a lot of things. In terms of we first of all started by looking at a market assessment for renewable energy 1 or 2 years ago, and this was supported by the Interreg program. So as I said earlier, the European programs are allowing us to do things which would be difficult to do otherwise. And so we did an analysis of the current situation, and we got in touch with all the renewable energy sites in Dublin and divided them according to the commercial or residential, or were they biomass or wind or solar or whatever. So that was a sort of a baseline, and we discovered that the locally produced energy in the city was just amounted to less than 1% of the demand, and so that was a starting point. Now we since then we teamed up with IBM, and we did an analysis of the economic aspects of solar energy, and it was found that there's sufficient solar energy to be economically viable in the city. So we've been promoting that. We have developed what's called the Home Energy Saving Kit. The idea is that this will sit in the library, as well as the books and the CDs and the digital media, and people can take it home for a week or 2 weeks at no cost, and they can look at their own home and see where the energy is being lost and leaked and what they can do about that. And that, as well as being a useful tool for homeowners, it's also a very good communications tool. Well, so here then you've got 6, and it's not rocket science. They're very, very simple instruments. The one that's probably most complicated is a infrared thermometer. It shines a beam, so if it's green, if it's good, if you put it in it, and then we have a very simple meter where you can put it in the electrical socket, where a thermometer that you put in your freezer, humidity and temperature thermometer for the room, and a stopwatch for measuring the flow of while you're having your shower, and finally something to take the air out of the heating radiators so they work more efficiently. And so this has been really successful. It was launched by the Minister for Energy 1 or 2 months ago, and he wants them in every local authority in Ireland. So we went and we've produced 50 of them for the Dublin City Council libraries, and we have, along with the National Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, we're monitoring the performance of them, and is this the right kit or do we need to change it a little bit? And next year then we'll roll them out in much bigger quantities. So that's That's an example of your question, how do we communicate things? And we try to do it in a very real way that gets in touch, that touches people. In one sense, yes, in that our work, our work during the recession was focused on saving money. So for example, Dublin City Council would have spent 20 million per year on their energy bill. And we said, well, we can save you 3% of that per year. And over 10 or 11 years, that's 1/3 of 20 million. So you're saving 1/3 of your energy bill. In general, the Dublin local authorities are on track to reach their 33% target by 2020 through various activities. We've worked a lot with the buildings. For example, the leisure centres and the swimming pools use a lot of energy. And through a European project, again, the Intelligent Energy Europe programme, we worked with partners from Germany, from Austria, from Norway, and from Poland to look at the financial instruments like energy performance contracting. We worked with Dublin City Council on 3 of their centres just last year to implement the first contract of this kind in local authorities in Ireland, and we're looking now to replicate that again. So, so in a way, the need to reduce the energy and the energy efficiency was helped by the recession. On the other hand, in terms of building systems that would reduce carbon emissions or would have long-term benefits, they were largely shelved, and the concept of climate change was put on what we say on the back burner of the stove and not in the front. But that's changing again now. Yeah, that would be connected with the circular economy as well, so that you reuse things more. I think I would love to see that. Unfortunately, we live in a world where the markets are dominant. So every investment in infrastructure in Ireland and in other countries is usually a result of a public-private partnership, which takes money from the world funds. And their philosophy is continual growth. So it's a very hard one cycle to break, but clearly growth cannot continue forever. There's a limited capacity on Earth to sustain that, and I think I would like to see people recognizing that sooner rather than later. And I think a very important point would be that actually at the moment energy is very cheap and we have plenty of it, and we should be using this time of plenty to prepare for a time in the future when there won't be plenty. I would agree that they're not good, and we've had some very notable examples of that in Ireland. Large projects have had a lot of difficulty because they didn't go through the consultation process in a way that might have been more successful. But we would agree with that, and we would say, well, the first you have to inform the citizens. So the first resource they have would be information, and as well as that, then you've got to actually empower them to give them what we would call agency to influence the flow of events rather than everything coming from the top. And secondly, to give them a say in what's happening. And in that case, then it can happen much more easily for everybody. But unfortunately, in Ireland, we haven't a good tradition in that. A lot of development structures have been brought in from the outside, and I think in other countries also, and you have this problem. It's a very controversial subject at the moment, and people unfortunately have either gone extremely one way or extremely the other way, and there's not, the dialogue is difficult. There should be much more consultation at the very early stages, and people should be really listened to, and what they say should be taken account of. And then if you do that, then you have a different scenario, I think. So now, there's one group saying all windmills are bad, another group saying all windmills are good, and there still isn't a good dialogue, I don't think.